All right, in this video, we will be continuing our notes for lesson 2.1, which is if-then statements and converses. We have already discussed the first 2 pages, so let's get flipped over to our third page, which is focusing on writing conditionals in different formations. So there are different formations. The original one we discussed is if P, then Q formation. And here's an example. If A equals B, then A plus C equals B plus C. So here's the if and there's the then. This portion is the hypothesis. This is the conclusion. Now you can write it 3 other different ways. You could say P implies Q. So A equals B implies A plus C equals B plus C. P only if Q, so A equals B only if A plus C equals B plus C. Now I need you to understand that only if is kind of the same as the word implies or then. Everything that follows only if is actually the Q part. So this is the Q and this is the P. So keep that in mind. Only if is kind of equal to the word then. And then finally, Q if P. So A plus C equals B plus C if A equals B. Now, only if means something different than if. They are not the same. This is kind of like then. Now, let's take this sentence. A person is president only if he or she is well known. Let's kind of diagnose this before we get started. The only if, remember, that's like the part that's cutting it into 2. Everything prior to only if is the P part, and everything after only if is the Q part. So what I'd like you to do right now is pause the video and please write it the 3 different ways. So we've got this way already. I want you to rewrite it using this formation up at the top, if P then Q, then do the P implies Q formation, and then lastly Q of P. So pause the video and go ahead and write your sentences and then replay the video to see your results. Okay, so I'm assuming you're back, and let's take a quick peek. So if you had answered for the first way, if a person is president, then he or she is well known. That is using this first formation. The second formation here, P implies Q. When a person is president, it implies he or she is well known. And then the last way right here, the Q if P portion here, a person is well known if he or she is president. Okay, so let's get to the last tail end of this stuff here. So we're going to now talk about a biconditional, and that's a statement that contains the phrase if and only if. A conditional and its converse, if they happen to both be true, what we'd like to do is rewrite that in what's called biconditional form using if and only if, which is the double arrow symbol. So P, if and only if Q. Or if we use symbols, P double arrow here, Q, and you're going to read it as P if and only if Q. And so basically, I'm just going to add down here. So when P implies Q is true, and when Q implies P is true, comma, we like to write the biconditional, which is the P with that double arrow symbol Q. All right. And you can also even abbreviate the double arrow. Sometimes people do IFF. So this could be like PIFFQ. That's also another popular thing to do. All right, last page. So if I give you the sentence, an acute angle is an angle whose measure is less than 90 degrees. Let's take a moment and write it as a conditional. Again, I'd like you to pause the video and check your work when you have done all 3 parts. Okay, so I'm assuming you're back. This first one, written as a conditional, would be written as if an angle is acute, comma, then it measures less than 90 degrees. All right, so that's your first written as a conditional. Now let's write the converse. So the Q now becomes at the beginning of the sentence. So if an angle measures less than 90 degrees, then it is an acute angle. And now, if parts A and B are both true statements, we would write the biconditional. So we know that if it's acute, by definition, it's less than 90, and vice versa. If it's less than 90, then it is acute. So we know that both of these to be true. So finally, written in if and only if form, you would basically say something like, an angle is acute if and only if, and I'm going to use my abbreviation. I'm going to be like IFF. If and only if its measure is less than 90 degrees. And we're done.